This is the CBS Evening News with Bob Schieffer.
Good evening. Anyone who has ever been in a hospital knows just how Ronald Reagan felt today he got out of one. Our report on Mr. Reagan's White House homecoming begins with Jed DeVal.
Outside the hospital, police measures to keep people away or under control were extraordinary. As the president left, he thanked hospital staffers and told them, "I know I arrived here unexpectedly and I apologize for the disruption." The president also said, "I walked in here, I'm going to walk out." And he did.
Sit down.
After fresh x-rays this morning, doctors told the president he could go. He told them he'd made up his mind to go regardless. On the South Lawn, the president found hundreds of White House staffers and their families standing in the rain, applauding and cheering as he came into view. Among the first to greet him, Barbara Bush and the vice president. Inside were, among others, Chief of Staff James Baker and his daughter Mary Bonner. At almost the same time, police officer Thomas Delahanty, also injured in the shooting, was released from another hospital. He too was eager to make his thank yous and leave.
For the people throughout the country who have sent these cards and letters and telegrams and prayers, I can't answer them all. I just can't do it. It's too much. But I appreciate it.
At the White House, an hour after the president's arrival, a flurry outside the White House gate as police arrested a man who drove up and wanted to see Mr. Reagan and would not move his car. The man, described by police as a frequent gate caller, was taken to a mental hospital. The president will spend most of his time recuperating in the family quarters on the second floor and some time resting in the solarium on the very top. That room's just been done over, and with a new rug and tulips outside all the windows, is described as a pleasant and restful place. White House functions continue. The president could look out the window at the folks streaming through the grounds during the annual Spring Garden Tour. The sun came out this afternoon, the air is fresh, a good day for the tourists, and for Mr. Reagan, just what the doctor ordered. Jed DeVal, CBS News, the White House.
For 12 days, patient Ronald Reagan made getting in and out of George Washington University Hospital a little tougher for staff members. Security was beefed up and reporters were camped outside. But inside, according to Dr. Stephen Pett, who treated the president in both the operating and recovery rooms, procedures were nearly normal, largely because of Mr. Reagan's sense of humor.
It tended to relieve some of the tension, which one would expect under such circumstances. The initial response of us all was a heightened level of excitement, but very soon one settles back into a routine, and one realizes that he's a man and he's a good man, and when taking care of him, you take care of him as you would take care of anybody else.
Linda Starr and Irene Schlater are two of the physical therapists who help keep the president's wounded lung clear and functioning. Every 4 hours, they told Mr. Reagan to lie on his side and breathe deeply while they vibrated his back. They started at 6 a.m.
When I would go in there, I would try to remember that he was a patient, and deal with it that way, that he was a patient. I would say, "Good morning, Mr. President. It's time for your breathing treatment."
Because this morning's chest x-ray showed that the president's lung is healing, doctors felt confident sending him home.
We think he looks excellent this morning, and his temperature's normal. He's been eating well, and all of his blood tests, of course, have remained normal, and that chest x-ray shows continued resolution.
Dr. O'Leary said the president is a little stiff. Mr. Reagan will continue both his physical therapy and his antibiotic treatment as he convalesces at home. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, Washington.
Of the 4 men wounded in the attack, only Press Secretary James Brady is still in the hospital now, but he continues a remarkable recovery, and today the doctor said mentally he is virtually 100% what he was, and the return of personality is evolving steadily.
Real old-fashioned coffee aroma.
Old-fashioned? Mom, this is new improved mellow roast.
New? But it smells just like the coffee my mother used to make.
That's because new mellow roast has more rich aroma than before and a new full-bodied taste.
But smooth tasting like my mother's.
You like new mellow roast, huh, Mom?
New for you, dear. For me, just plain old-fashioned delicious.
New Mellow Roast coffee and grain beverage. Improved for even more old-fashioned coffee taste and aroma.
Hey, what's that? Bursting with great taste. Surprise, Henry. It's Cycle dog food. New Cycle, a delicious new mixture of red, brown, and golden nuggets. Oh, don't worry, Henry. Cycle still has just the right nutrition for your stage of life. But now it's bursting with a great new taste you'll love. Uh-oh, you missed a piece. New Cycle, bursting with a great new taste.
They've decided to try again at the Kennedy Space Center, and they've scheduled the new stab at the heavens for early tomorrow morning. 2 reports. First, Bruce Hall at the center.
Astronauts John Young and Bob Crippen maintained their pre-launch schedule, getting up at 2 a.m. But things were a little more relaxed today as they posed for pictures with members of the ground crew and chatted with the backup astronauts and the support help at the Kennedy landing strip. They had spent some time in the shuttle training jets again for what they hope will be their final practice session. Launch Director George Page says he is most concerned about tomorrow's weather forecast, which is only marginal for a launch.
We'll pick up the count and go down and see what the weather's like when we get to launch time. Hopefully, we'll have a clear period at that time and be able to get it off. If not, we'll have to hold to see when it clears. So you pay your money and you take your chance on that one.
Page faced a barrage of questions about possible malfunctions that could occur.
If you're asking me what's the chances of something else coming up, man, you know, that's a complicated machine out there.
And why was the launch moved from 6:50 to 7 a.m.?
It's easier to keep track of that way anyways. Save you people all that trying to figure that 10-minute difference anyway.
Meanwhile, on the beaches and in the campgrounds, thousands of the loyal and patient remain.
I'm more interested in safety than rushing the thing and something happen. I'm sure they'll go this time.
This evening, after being in a hold position for 32 hours, the countdown clock again began. Bruce Hall, CBS News at the Kennedy Space Center.
Say they know exactly what happened.
We're not going through this again. So we fixed it. You're not going through this. Yeah, it's gone.
They say they would know how to correct such a problem if it were to happen again, but they still don't know exactly why it happened.
We're safe in saying you don't know yet how it happened. Or what caused it. Or what caused it.
It's safe to say we cannot yet go event by event what was happening in the countdown and match that to say this is how the problem happened in the vehicle.
The trouble became apparent with just 20 minutes to go in the countdown to launch.
We're at T-minus 20 minutes and holding. This is shuttle launch control.
Visual alarms, probably that light right here in the shuttle, and audio alarms signaled to the astronauts on board the shuttle and to launch control at the Kennedy Space Center and to mission control here in Houston that there was trouble in the computer systems.
We have not had a resolution yet of what the problem is with the backup flight computer programs.
There are 2 shuttle computer systems, a package of 4 computers known as the primary system, and another computer which is the backup system. The trouble was in the primary system.
We now expect those computers to operate correctly and in sync for this condition throughout the countdown, the flight, and the landing phase.
Simply stated, what happened yesterday prior to the mission being scrubbed was that the primary system did what it was supposed to do, provided some information to the backup system, but did so too early, 40 milliseconds too early, an eternity in computer time. Then the backup system did what it was supposed to do, sent out the alarm that something had gone wrong. NASA engineers say that something was a, quote, very unique and insidious problem, so that nobody was prepared for it, but that perhaps they should have been.
The shortcoming was simply that we should have recognized that in the case of the network signal processor, there was the potential that this time skewing could result, and we should have had a procedure to have circumvented that problem in the event it occurred. I think that's the shortcoming.
All day yesterday and through the night and into the morning, there was a great drama, man against machine, the human brain against the electronic brain. The shuttle can fly with only one computer operating perfectly, but the launch rules state that all the computers, for safety purposes, must be functioning properly before the launch can take place. Those computers are operating perfectly once again. Morton Dean, CBS News, Johnson Space Center, Houston.
CBS News coverage of the launch begins tomorrow morning at 6:30 Eastern Time. By coincidence, the new launch time falls on the 20th anniversary of the day that the Russian cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin got the goodbye hugs and climbed into the tiny capsule that was mounted atop a powerful Soviet rocket. A rocket that would blast Gagarin into orbit around the Earth and make him the first man in space. Startled America would soon catch up, but this was the first face we saw from space. Gagarin circled the Earth for an hour and 48 minutes.
Presenting things denture wearers hate about denture adhesives.
I hate the grit.
I hate the taste.
I hate the goo.
Presenting Liquid Dentrol, one adhesive you're gonna love. Just a thin stream of easy-to-apply Liquid Dentrol holds dentures without all the gummy, gooey, gritty mess you hate.
It feels smooth.
Hey, nice taste.
I love it.
Liquid Dentrol, so pleasant to use, you'll love it.
Ooh.
Got tough congestion? Sinex is the long-acting nasal spray that can give you a second of and 10 hours of instantly. Medicated Vicks vapors penetrate your nose with a powerful feeling of relief. And Sinex decongesting medicine shrinks swollen nasal membrane so air can flow through. You breathe free up to 10 full hours. For tough congestion, get the Sinex extra feeling of relief. A second of 10 hours of
There's some pressure on him, but Polish labor leader Lech Walesa said today that he will not quit as head of Solidarity, the independent union. Hardline union members have criticized Walesa for calling off last month's scheduled general strike at the last moment. Last night, the Polish parliament passed a resolution asking Solidarity not to call any strikes for at least 2 months. So far, the union has not formally replied. No country has more interest in a stable Poland than its Warsaw Pact neighbor, East Germany. So everyone was paying close attention when East German leader Erich Honecker opened the Communist Party Congress today in East Berlin. Tom Fenton has that story.
In his long report to the 10th Party Congress, Honecker made only a brief reference to Poland. The Polish Communist Party, he said, still faces grave difficulties. Honecker stressed East Germany's solidarity with the Polish communists and noted that the Poles had pledged at a Warsaw Pact meeting in December to keep their country communist despite the efforts of counter-revolutionary forces. Honecker devoted much of his speech to the need for arms control and détente, themes sounded last week in Prague by Soviet President Brezhnev. The East Germans are clearly worried by the crisis in Poland. Their military lines of communication run through Poland. They have had to foot part of the bill for Poland's problems by supplying emergency food shipments and a hard currency loan. According to a foreign ministry source, East German leaders are willing to give the Polish communists more time to solve their problems. However, time may not be available with another crisis looming in Poland. 19 Russian divisions are stationed in this country. If the Russians decide to intervene in Poland, East Germany will be heavily involved. Tom Fenton, CBS News, East Berlin.
Secretary of State Haig wound up his 9-country tour today with a warning in West Germany that Soviet troops in and around Poland apparently are still in a high state of readiness. But he said the threat of intervention does seem to have lessened. On another problem area, Haig said the United States might be willing to support an expanded UN peacekeeping force in Lebanon if the fighting there continues. The violence these days in El Salvador often seems arbitrary. Victims seemingly picked at random. Human rights workers say at least a dozen people are gunned down every day in San Salvador. One man was killed today as he ate a snow cone across the street from a big hotel. On a wider front, the newest battlefield is the slope of an inactive volcano north of the capital. Charles Gomez has that story.
The Guasapa volcano. It was once called Gorilla Country.
territory so heavily patrolled by rebels that government helicopters seldom airlifted troops to fight here, for fear they would be shot out of the sky. But that fear has been replaced by a new confidence. The Guasapa volcano, 40 miles outside the capital city of San Salvador, is now firmly in the Army's control. This underscores a shift in momentum in the armed forces' favor. Military officials say U.S. assistance and the presence of advisors have helped in recent victories against the rebels in the countryside. The guerrillas apparently fled this camp hastily. No bodies were found. Rebels usually take their dead with them. Besides clothing, they left weapons and communications equipment. Here, as in other mountain strongholds, they burrowed tunnels, 70 in all. But despite such victories, some say the armed forces have suffered losses as well, most notably in popular support. At a news conference, members of the Treasury Police said they were involved in a gun battle that resulted in the deaths of 23 people in a suburb of San Salvador. A gun battle that followed an attack by guerrillas. But people in the neighborhood say that the victims were blindfolded with their hands tied behind their backs before they were shot. American officials have been reluctant to talk about reports that the Salvadoran armed forces have been involved in atrocities. The U.S. Embassy here is conducting its own investigation of the recent killings. The armed forces discount reports of involvement in atrocities as exaggerations by the left and prefer to point to their positive programs, such as amnesty for guerrillas. Officials say that under that program, which just ended, 3,000 guerrillas surrendered to authorities and were released in hopes that they will become productive members of Salvadoran society. Charles Gomez, CBS News, San Salvador.
A full-scale riot broke out tonight in a mostly black suburb of London. 85 police officers have been injured, at least 5 of them seriously. There have been more than 80 arrests. Martha Teichner has that story.
The rioting has been intense for several hours, perhaps aggravated by the presence of uniformed police with riot shields. Several hundred blacks have been pelting the line of police with rocks and bottles, overturning cars, setting fires, looting. It is the second day of racial violence in Brixton, an area just south of London that is predominantly black and has an unemployment rate over 20%, twice the national average. The trouble apparently started yesterday when police tried to take a young black man to a hospital. He had been stabbed in the back. Other blacks thought he was being arrested and attacked the police. Tonight a school was set on fire, and now there are 1,000 police in the area trying to stop the violence. Martha Teichner, CBS News, London.
Widespread fighting between reinforced Soviet troops and Muslim rebels in Afghanistan is reported today, and a Western diplomatic source in New Delhi says he has confirmation that the rebels are in complete control of Kandahar, Afghanistan's second largest city. The Afghan army is short one tank tonight. An officer who pretended he was on a test run stole a Soviet-made tank, drove into Pakistan, and asked for political asylum.
What do wine experts say about Gallo Rhine wine?
It never disappoints me in taste.
The character's authentic, and the taste is delightful.
The great taste speaks for itself.
It's a very special white wine that I particularly like.
Its light taste goes with any food.
A truly exceptional Rhine wine. I give it my highest rating.
Rhine wine from the winery of Ernest and Giulio Gallo. The more you know about wine, the more you appreciate Gallo.
When you spread on Glidden, you get something beautiful to show for it.
Frank gave me a beautiful painting for my birthday.
Rembrandt?
No, Glidden. Who? Do you always use the high-quality spread?
Of course. Glidden.
Oh! Once I was the center of attention at my parties. Then I painted the walls with Glidden.
Glidden, when you make a very good paint, it shows.
There are a lot of Iowans today who know how hard it can be to avoid tornadoes. There were 9 of them there last night, including one that devastated a stretch of the small town of Melbourne near Des Moines. 7 people were hurt slightly and 39 homes damaged or destroyed when the twister cut a path a quarter of a mile wide and 4 miles long. The autopsy today on a Cuban exile who tried to hijack a New York to Miami Eastern Airlines plane yesterday shows that he was accidentally suffocated when passengers and crew subdued him. The medical examiner found no evidence to back up reports that the hijacker had taken some sort of suicide pill. With the Boston baseball Red Sox, the hockey Bruins, and the basketball Celtics, Boston is one of the great sports towns. But these days, the Boston fans aren't talking about which teams stand to win. It's which teams they stand to lose. A report from Liz Trotta.
In Boston, being a sports fan is not unlike being a politician. Both require loyalty, stamina, a loud voice, and sometimes the ability to attack. Bostonians have always had great pride in their teams, but lately some of the cheers have turned to catcalls. It was bad enough when the Braves left their old stadium in 1953 and wound up playing baseball in Atlanta via Milwaukee. And it was even worse when in 1971 the Patriots packed up for a new home in Foxborough, about 30 miles away. But now, the unthinkable. The revered Celtics and Bruins may leave.
Well, I think it's pretty pathetic if they ever had to leave. They've got some great fans here in Boston, and I think it would be sad.
It's all economics and finance, and there's not too much you can do about it when it comes down to it.
At the center of the storm is the 52-year-old Boston Garden, dilapidated with age. The conglomerate that owns the Garden also owns the Bruins, and they're trying to move the team to Salem, New Hampshire, where they hope to get huge tax breaks and a dog racing track.
They are using a National Hockey League franchise as a basis to get a dog track in New Hampshire, which I don't think is in the best interest of the fans or in the best interest of the league.
The conglomerate, Delaware North, denies this, claiming that for years Garden owners have begged the city to renovate the old arena. In any case, the city has now formed a committee of top political and civic leaders to hammer out their own plans for a new sports complex, with or without the Bruins. As for the sacred Celtics, a tenant in the Garden, they're looking around for a new neighborhood, but would really rather stay in town.
I think the majority of the fans want them to stay in town, and hopefully the Celtics will be able to.
The Boston Red Sox aren't leaving town, but the fact that many of their top stars have is worrying management about public relations with the fans. So, when in doubt, run a television commercial. A funny one.
We're shaping up a good young team here. But folks, these boys need to be supported, not abused.
This is the man most abused, Red Sox general manager Haywood Sullivan. Sullivan traded stars Rick Burleson and Butch Hobson to California, but more controversial, he failed to mail new contracts to two of his superstars, catcher Carlton Fisk and center fielder Fred Lynn. Fisk went to the Chicago White Sox and Lynn to the California Angels. Many fans suspect Sullivan deliberately failed to meet the deadline so he wouldn't have to pay them top dollar.
I don't know how much money he's got. You know, how much money you have to... First, it cost him an awful lot of money to buy the club. And then again, how much money can you borrow from a bank to keep paying his salaries? I guess it was going to cost him about $14 million to keep those players that left.
At first, the fans were furious over the muscle drain.
Well, we had season tickets. We gave them up because of that reason. We think that... I think they're kind of chintzy about it.
But by opening day, the Boston fans were ready to give the newcomers a chance.
I think all the others were superstars, and I'm happy to have the young boys.
Unfortunately, the goodwill didn't last long. Carlton Fisk, once the darling of Boston, now a traitor to the Red Sox, hit a home run with two men on. It was the cruelest hit of all. The Red Sox went down to defeat, and the fans were dealt another blow. Winning or losing may be important in Boston, but it really depends on how you finance the game. Liz Trotta, CBS News, Boston.
Thousands of TV and movie script writers abandoned their typewriters and went on strike today. The Writers Guild walkout is the third major strike against producers in a year. Once again, the big issue is a cut of the pay TV and home video profits. The strike isn't expected to have an immediate impact. The rerun season is fast approaching, and some producers have already stockpiled scripts for next year.
Would you be able to pick up this pan?
No, that hurts in here.
An actual arthritis minor pain flare-up.
Just hurts, period.
Here are regular strength tablets used mostly for headaches, and one with 50% more pain reliever, and it's double buffered. Pick one.
Arthritis pain formula.
It works for hours. Try it. Remember this pan?
It does not hurt when I pick it up. I can pick that pan up now. And I could not pick it up before. I am going to buy arthritis pain formula. It's great.
The making of Taster's Choice. Take the best ground roast fresh pearl coffee you know how to make. Then freeze it. To lock in all that fresh perked flavor when you remove the ice, you'll have rich, natural chunks of freeze-dried coffee made by a premium process that's unlike ordinary heat drying. Taster's Choice, regular and green label decaffeinated. The only leading coffee that's freeze-dried.
Did a lot of ceremonies in his time, but there wasn't a rubber chicken in sight for the one he attended today. The governor got married. Chris Kelly has our report.
The wedding guests were right out of the pages of Who's Who in American politics and society. Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan, Chicago Mayor Jane Byrne, New Jersey Governor Brendan Byrne, and the biggest applause went to New York Mayor Edward Koch, a dedicated bachelor.
How do you feel about marriage?
Oh, I think it's terrific and it's here to stay.
The 44-year-old bride, Evangeline Gouletis, wore a gown called Irish Fresh Pink by designer George Stavropoulos. Twice divorced, she was given away by one of her brothers to Hugh Carey, a widower with 12 children who were in attendance. The couple met 3 months ago and climaxed their romance with a traditional Greek Orthodox wedding ceremony. The day also marked Governor Carey's birthday. He's 62. Despite a few rain showers, the governor and his bride left the church standing in their limousine to the delight of the crowds lining the street.
Fantastic. I love it. I love him.
Thank you. Next stop, a New York hotel reception. The reception itself was a mixture of merriment and chaos. Chaos when reporters, cameramen, and photographers shoved through champagne-sipping guests to try to see the Careys cut the tall pink wedding cake.
A day of joy, a day of great happiness, and a day of prayer. We're very thankful, very grateful.
We're going to have our honeymoon in New York City and New York State, all the way from the Statue of Liberty to Niagara Falls.
And merriment when the governor and his bride danced to loud Greek music. A phalanx of bodyguards had to shove the Careys out of the crowded room for another celebration at the governor's mansion in Albany. Chris Kelly, CBS News, New York.
That's the news. I'm Bob Schieffer, CBS News, New York. Good night.
In Hawaii, we call the gift of giving makana aloha. And for over 30 years now, the Friendly Skies have been giving the gift of Hawaii. We gave the Burmans a waterfall in Kauai. We gave the Dolans a sunset on Maui. Dave Smith got his golf course. And we gave the Millers their second honeymoon on 4 different islands. We've got a gift waiting for you, too.
In our little corner of the world, by the Friendly Skies.
Nick, I need help.
Sure.
What should I use to clean my bathroom?
Fantastic.
But that's my kitchen cleaner. What about my bath?
Look, as fast and easy as Fantastic cleans your kitchen, it'll clean your bath.
Nick's right. Fantastic cuts right through grease, dirt, and soap scum. My whole bathroom sparkles. Nick, Fantastic is super in the bathroom.
Fantastic. What it does for your kitchen, it'll do for your bath.
This has been the CBS Evening News with Bob Schieffer. Tomorrow's guest on Face the Nation will be Congressman James R. Jones, chairman of the House Budget Committee. For an update on Sunday's events, watch the CBS Evening News.
In the world of golf, there are many challenges. And then there is the Masters. Tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern on CBS Sports.
This is CBS.
Edna Swansinger is a 48-year-old grandmother who started her own synthetic oil company.
There's nothing I can't do. And if I don't know how to do it, I'll get out and find out how to do it.
3 years ago, her despair over our rising oil crisis and her patriotism propelled her into business. Today, her courage and determination have made her the head of 2 oil companies. Meet Edna Swansinger, 7:30 tonight.
A new government grading system lets you compare tires before you buy.